Right. So, welcome, Luke, to the podcast. First of all, who is Floor Ninja?
Wow, Floor Ninja. It's been a bit of a journey, to be honest, Tom. So it started out many years ago, about 20 years ago now, as a 15-year-old lad, starting to go with my uncle, who was a carpet fitter. Yeah, just, you sort of run-of-the-mill basic carpet fitter, vinyl floor there. And yeah, I was at school. Like most, I didn't really enjoy school too much. So any chance of earning money outside of school, I went with my uncle, just picking up remnants, offcuts, back and forth, dog's body to the van, T-boy, all of that. That was in and around like all school holidays. Sometimes even take the odd day off if he had a big day on.
Yeah.
But with that, I obviously gradually started picking bits and bobs up. Started nailing gripper down, doing a bit of this, doing a bit of that. I enjoyed it. I was always a bit of a hands-on lad at school. Like PE, the technology lessons and all that sort of thing. And obviously left school at 16. And although working my uncle was great, he was paying me, like £10 a day at that point, which at 15-year-old, it wasn't so bad.
No.
When you leave school and everyone else is sort of getting these other jobs, and you're only on sort of £10-20 a day, it wasn't sort of really cutting it. So I went and got a proper job, I think at the sports shop first. After sort of one day, straight away, I knew I didn't like that. Beer at 8, go home at 6, have your lunch at this time. Yeah, that wasn't for me. But I stuck it out, obviously, at that time, because you just get to the end of the month and, I think at that point you get sort of like £700 a month. That's sort of big money as a young lad. But very, very quickly it sort of wore thin. And I ended up going back with my uncle, literally about 3-4 months later. And he wanted me to help him, but again, he wanted to sort of pay me £20 a day. So I had to sort of suck it up for a while and just go with him on the basis I thought, if I can learn, then great.
Yeah.
And I did do that. I started picking up things quite quickly. The problem with that then come that my uncle sort of didn't seem to like how quick I was progressing, because he just wanted sort of 20-year-old Luke picking up, bagging up rubbish behind him. And, he had a good gig, because as soon as he sort of dropped the scrap behind him, it vanished. I was there. It was tidy. I was always ahead of him. I was doing more and more gripper and underlaying. He was loving life. His work day was so much easier, but for 20 quid.
Yeah.
So, but I started sort of picking up more things, until one day we were on a big carpet job, sort of got it all prepped, laid a load of carpets out, and I locked myself in a room, basically. I locked myself in a room, sort of anchored the carpet on behind the door and started fitting.
Right.
And next minute, my sort of uncle's going mental, knocking at the door. Hey, open this bloody effing door now. I'm like, just ignoring him. He's kicking off. His gut, he was worried, like, if he cuts that carpet short, that's going to cost me, blah, 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 which I fully understood. But, I was in there. So this sort of went on about 5-10 minutes. He's out there, stressed as hell. Then he went silent, out to the van. And eventually, sort of 20 minutes, half hour, however long it was later, I'd finished fitting the room, opened the door, went out, found him in the van, got a right old bollock in.
Yeah.
Until he went indoors, upstairs, into the room, and see that I fitted the carpet,
Well,
obviously back then, by this point, I'm 18 years old, say, because I've been watching and learning. It wasn't like I went with him one day, watched him do something, and then went and done it. I've been watching a long, long time before I'd done this. And it's sort of, he was pissed off, but he sort of couldn't deny that when he was looking around the room, it was fitted to, his standard.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie and say, obviously, at 18, I was fitting carpets to the standard I fit them now.
No.
But, at that point, it was fitted to his standard and he got paid. So then I started obviously installing more. He started letting me install more. Didn't want to pay me the money that I wanted.
No.
So as a result of this, for ages I kept saying to him, he only relied on subcontracting work to shops. He never really done any advertising. You know, he'd pick up the odd job by speaking to a customer from the shop we used to work to, but he didn't actively promote his own business. So for ages I was like, you know, Kev, do this. Like, put an advert in the local paper, because it's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yellow Pages.
That was the thing back then, you know. We forget about it now, but I just kept saying, do this. I said, like, give me the van and the tools. You go out, you know, seeing customers getting the works. It was mainly carpet and vinyl work, stuff that one man could struggle on with on his own.
Yeah.
And he just wouldn't listen. You know, he was just too sort of happy doing these 3-4 days a week, having, like I say, a £20 labourer that was now sort of basically doing all this other work for him.
Yeah.
And he just would never take it on board. So, like I said, I was 18 at this point. In my area where I live, Newbury, Berkshire, at that time we had some really bad flooding, like very bad. To the point, that the roads, you know, were like a river in a few areas. So thousands and thousands of houses got flooded out.
Yeah.
Obviously, then, you know, all this insurance work came around. At that point, I decided, you know, I've got to go on my own. Found a company that would give me van finance somehow, because again, I was a young lad getting paid cash. I didn't really have a credit rating, but I found a van company that were happy to charge me about £18,000 for a £9,000 van over finance. Just literally a Citroen Relay box of a van, you know, but beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah.
So at 18, I signed myself into this stupid finance agreement, but it got me a big enough van. And a bit of bubble writing on the side at the time, you know, sort of Luke Johnson, carpets, wood, vinyl.
Yeah.
But, and away I went, you know, never sort of thinking much more. You know, I'm just an installer, helped out local shops. And then I started to implement everything that I said to my uncle that he should do. Like a little advert in the paper, a little advert on Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
At the time, I was helped along because there was so much demand for work because of all these flooding, you know. I guess I'd say it's probably around 5,000 houses that were, you know, the whole ground floor was flooded. So you can imagine the amount of work that was created.
Yeah.
And off the back of that, my little advert being in paper, people were calling me. You know, they'd call up. And it's quite funny because people, you know, see Luke Johnson in the paper, ring up, and they expect to get like a 40-year-old man on the end of the phone.
Right.
And obviously at that time, I was only an 18-year-old lad, you know. So, you know, they call, arrange an appointment, and then I'd sort of go around to a customer's house in an evening. There's this 18-year-old lad, you know, baby face, tattoos at that point, and they open the door and like, well, sorry, yeah, can we help you?
Yeah,
You know, I'm like, I'm Luke, the floor layer. And, you know, sort of look at me a bit like, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
But, you know, I'd go and measure up. And at that point, what I had to do, you know, I was doing a lot of fit-only work where people got the materials themselves, you know, and I'd be literally going in and charging £20 to fit a bedroom just because it got my foot in the door.
Yeah.
Because although people were dubious, when you say to them that, you know, I'm only going to charge you £20 when maybe they've been told £100 by someone else, they soon, you know, change their minds.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I get in, you fit the carpet, you know, and after me from day one, it's a regular thing now in the industry. But you know, even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it wasn't so much. But even from day one, because I wanted to make an impression, I've hoovered my carpets from day one. You know, if I fit a carpet in your house, I hoover it because only then, once I've hoovered it, can I tell if there's any little snags around the edge, any little wispy bits that need cutting off. You know, whereas a lot of installers used to sort of fit the carpet, leave a big bag of cuttings, leave all the fluff, you know, and again, and also I trim the door.
I was going to say, and leave the door hanging there, like on the side of the bedroom, just like that used to be a common picture. That like just bits of carpet, the roll outside the door, and the door just took off its hinges and said, "Right, see you later, bye."
No, exactly. That's a run-of-the-mill thing, and even with my uncle, you know, he done that at first until I started hoovering because you know because I had the time I used to hoover behind him, and straight away, even then, I used to see the feedback. The feedback used to go back to the shop that we worked for, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Kevin and his labour was brilliant. They can't believe they hoovered up behind them. Like, no one's ever done that." But yeah, so I've always done that from a young age, and again, ease the doors quickly, take the door off, cut it, put it back on. So that helped me start building my reputation. I had to go through a good couple of years of working for little money, but with that, it obviously snowballed, and my reputation in it's only a small town where I live, but my reputation grew as sort of, Luke comes in, everything will be done. No doors left off, it's all tidy. And I was quite lucky, but again, it all sort of worked in my favour, because at that time there was such a demand of work from this flooding. So coincidence or whatever, but it all worked out quite well. From that, by 22, by the age of 22, I'd taken on my cousin, who he was the next labourer that my uncle had after I'd sort of flew the nest. And we'd bump into each other out in town, and he'd like, how's working? I said, I said, give it a few more months, and I'll have you on board. I'll get you on board. And he didn't believe it, and then I ended up taking him on. Used to help out another shop on the odd days, and they went bust. But their senior fitter also ended up having him. So I was 22 years old, ended up having 3 vans and 2 other guys. And at that point, obviously, I was really pushing. Well, I was a mobile showroom setup, so I had a small van stacked to the roof with samples. And again, people love that back then. Mobile showroom, turns up on your drive, dig through, and it worked brilliant. Again, kept growing until another few years later, I went retail.
Right.
And that was Luke Johnson Flooring. So got a little unit, a little warehouse set up, and just decided, I was going to give it a go, the retail. At first, when I was 18 years old, when I put bubble wire on the side of the van, I didn't expect that.
No.
It was a pipe dream, but it wasn't. At that age, you just think, nah, that won't happen. But we got to that point, had a big showroom opening, and the whole town sort of really supported me and created a fantastic business. All along with this, again, my uncle was just a carpet and sheet vinyl fitter. From a young age, I started going on other little courses, like manufacturer courses. Started learning LVT, then started dealing with Candine. Obviously, when I first opened, went on the Candine courses. I've always done mainly manufacturer courses. To be honest, not so much like the training centres that are around now. Because whether I didn't know about them at the time back in the day or whatever, but it was mainly manufacturer courses, and then a lot of like self-learning on site. My mindset is, once I've learned something, I then want to perfect it. Make it as quick as possible, but still perfect. So I'm always just developing quicker, faster ways to do things, but keeping the quality high. So I've always been into self-development and learning new stuff. And with that, in the showroom, obviously got the Candine stands, Amtico stands, Moduleo. Things just kept growing and growing and growing. Problem with that was that I couldn't get the installers. So at one point, I had a showroom, and then my customers would come in and book quotes, and I'd end up having sort of 40 quotes to do in a week. And as you probably know yourself, one quote can be a little box room, or a quote can be a mansion.
Absolutely.
So when you're doing sort of 40 quotes, you're out on the road, the working hours of the week. Then you get back in the evenings, you're sat doing paperwork. Meanwhile, someone's got to fit all of this flooring. So, I did have 6 installers at the time, one being my cousin that, had been working with me, who was a fantastic installer. But then we had a lot of other sort of younger fitters that just didn't have the right mindset. You know,
No.
great lads. They were great lads, and could do good work, but they just made a choice sometimes in their working day, as I'm sure you found in the past, that they just didn't want to do. You know, that it was more like that'll be okay.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
Just hash that in. That'll be okay. That's going to be on the sideboard. Goes over that. Customer won't see that.
Yeah.
But previous customers that had used me in the past, obviously, I'd installed my eye for detail in them, so they knew what they were looking at.
Yeah.
So it started opening a bit of a can of worms, and the more complex Carndine and Antico jobs we started getting, because of obviously all the design work that's possible with them. Again, the lads had a bit of a threshold. You know, they all sort of could do this, and that was their threshold. They couldn't do the border work, or they couldn't do the fancy design. So when you're selling a lot of like fancy work and you haven't got the fitters, it's it's hard to complete. You know? So it's become very frustrating for me. It's 24/7 having this business.
Yeah.
You know, I was constantly firefighting, and it aged me. From 25 to 30, you know, I started going grey at like 26. It aged me, the stress of it. And people, you know, from an outside, people were going, "Oh, you know, God, must be doing well, because it looks great. All 5 vans, like 10 staff or 9-10 staff.
Yeah.
You know, and I had a nice life, but I bloody worked hard for it. Like, you know, and I wasn't, you know, it's like people thought I had millions in the bank. I was like, no, but I'm definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah.
You know, anything I've got, any nice holidays or car I have, I'm working like double hard for that.
Yeah.
You know, people don't see that. They just think you just stroll around. It's like, but yeah, you know, I was just thinking, what? At one point, I got to the point my company cost £30,000 a month to break even.
Yeah.
And I'm still, you know, still a small business, Tom. Like, only up to sort of 10 staff. You know, to keep turn all the lights on, pay all the bills, and to pay my basic wage that I paid myself.
Yeah.
A month. It was £30,000 a month. And some of these people, you know, when you break it down into 4 working weeks of 5-day weeks on average, I know, you know, which is when we was installing, which creates the earning the money. That's 20 days a month, you know. So your daily sort of
burn
income, you know, I'm sure I don't need to tell you this, but for anyone that's got a business, it's a lot.
Oh yeah.
Then,
a lot that around your neck in any person.
And then when you add into the mix of things like, you know, in the flooring trade, every team is a team of 2. You know, carpet jobs, you need 2 men. Even with any aspects of flooring, really, you need to be a 2-man team because it's a hard trade.
Right.
So, you know, I send out a senior fitter with an apprentice on the vans, and they go to jobs. You know, and then I come and give a worksheet. That's all the stuff you need, guys, in the warehouse. Help yourself. Take a bit extra. You know, an extra bag of screed if you want, or extra couple of bags. You know, you're working 20 minutes away, so take extra. So it's fine. Oh, you know, they still go to site
with the wrong stuff.
Or stuff like that. Or like the next morning we're in there. You know, they were in early. They emptied the van from the day before, and then it's like, right, you're off to this job. Oh no, sorry, we've got to go back to that job 20 minutes away. Why? Oh, because we didn't have the gold single bar that was on the worksheet that we should have taken. So, oh, right. So, okay, so now we've got 2 men in a van doing an hour and a half round trip by the time you got there. You know, doing something that was going to take 2 minutes yesterday, you know, while you're at the end of the job. And the things, you know, like, don't have a go at this. Like, I'm not having a go. I'm just sort of saying, trying to get you to understand the knock-on effect.
Yeah.
You know, there's a compound effect in life, and you don't understand that. You know, now you guys are going to be 2 hours late to this job today. You're going back there, extra fuel, time. It's, you know, this is a business, not a charity.
Yeah.
But
and you've got to ring the client that went to go to, say the boys are running late, and they're disappointed because they were waiting in and they've cleared the room, and
exactly. Yeah. And people just don't sort of realise, like I said, the knock-on effect. They're just going, oh, it's just a door bar. you know what, it is just a door bar. But look what the knock-on effect is.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is happening a lot. You know, when I had my shop, I think not so much anymore, do a lot of wood flooring, to be honest. But when I had my shop, we dealt with woodpecker, had an amazing big display stand.
Yeah.
And done tons of engineered wood flooring. So, you know, on them jobs, I'll book it, and that's a 3-day job. Whenever I quoted a job, I'm not wasn't one of these guys that would go to a job and book it in 3 days when it's a 4-day job. You know, I used to give anyone that done work for me, I would go to the job and I would quote the time on what it would take me to do on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. On my own. So then I'd send a 2-man team. So if it's, you know, have a big wood job over 3 days, they'd be on that. And at the end of the 3 days, I'm always checking, everyone will turn up and go, you know, obviously not going to get done today, are you? Looking at it. No. Why are you jigsawing and everything?
Yeah.
That big £1,000 chop saw that makes work really easy that you bought for us, so it broke about 3 months ago. But basically, no one wants to admit who broke it, so that's why it's not being brought to light, because it's like, it's like, oh my god, you know. So you've got that nice expensive tool that makes just like a really quick job. Yeah. And instead of just saying that, you know, the guard's broke on it, it could be an accident. It's like, it doesn't matter. You know, things happen. They're consumables. But like, yeah, it's just stuff like that, Tom. It just got so frustrating. And you're like, what more can you do, these guys? You know, it wasn't all of them. It wasn't all of them. But, you know, and, but yeah, just so at that point, I was just like, I had to make a decision. And the showroom was getting busy. Saturday mornings, we'd have tons of customers in.
Yeah.
One of the booking jobs, and I sort of started seeing that, you know, customers are coming in on a Saturday, they get added onto a list for me to contact and see. But when the list is like 20 people long, when I get obviously 5 minutes to do that, I start number 1, 2. So people started getting a bit pissy, you know, pissed off, because like, oh, went into the Johnson Flooring the other day and didn't get back to me. I haven't heard anything yet. You know, this is in like a couple of days later, but they don't realise. So I could just sort of see that it was getting too big. The demand was far too big. I didn't have the fit. I didn't have the installers. I was constantly looking on installers. I scrolled back through my old business page, Facebook page the other day, and see, like, you know, how many times I was putting on there looking for fitters.
Yeah.
And I did have quite a few contractors that come on board, and like, you know, the usual thing. When you speak to them, like, what do you do? Yeah, fit all floors. Yeah, fit everything, mate, mint.
Yeah.
And then they come to do a job, and it's not mint.
No.
And that becomes a very awkward conversation then, because, you know, I was always one of these people that, you know, I'd never sort of hash their work, but I would say to them, I'm not happy with that because of this, and let me just quickly show you what I mean. You know, so I wouldn't just say, oh, look, I'm not happy. I'd show them why and show them how I wanted it done. So, I sort of struggled getting contractors because people are like, oh, you're just too anal. So that's the right word, but, you know, you're too meticulous. I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe I am, but that's what's created my reputation. So,
So what happened to the shop in the end?
I just made a choice in 2019 to shut it down.
Yeah.
But close it down. You know, nothing bad from a business point of view happened. It was all done correctly. You know, I got to a point with the order book where I closed it.
Yeah. And
then knew that I had sort of 2 months left of the shop being open, so I could fulfill all them orders. And yeah, that was it basically. Yeah. You know, the only sort of bad thing to come out of it at the end was just a month's unpaid business rates to the council, but whatever. You know, no one, customers, even all the staff, you know, were sort of helped move on. You know, no one was left high and dry. If anything, it was me that sort of, after spending all them years setting it all up and everything, you know, I sort of
more heartbreaking for you.
Yeah, you know, I'll say there's no bankruptcy or anything like that around it. I've done it all properly and I survived through it. But the money, watching the money dwindle down to wind the company up was quite annoying. There wasn't tons in there, but when you sort of see a few tens of thousands dwindle down just in a wind up process to do it properly, when there's so people out there that just sort of take the money and sod everyone else. My ethics are not like that. I couldn't do that. So,
no.
But after that, the good thing about that is that obviously I'd sort of stripped it back. So I was back to being an 18-year-old boy again with a man and a van. And that's when I created I Build and Renovation. So I was slightly diversified at this point because the last few years of having Luke Johnson flooring, I had started doing renovation works on the side, just because customers asked me, I was so meticulous with the flooring work. Like, did you do this, do that? And basically I started doing bits and bobs on the side, renovation works. And that had started sort of growing in the background as well, because I was taking my time, doing a good job, and customers were happy. So they tell someone else. And spending 15 years on Luke Johnson flooring, building a brand and name, and having to shut it down because, I couldn't get the staff or the quality of installers I needed, was quite sad. A bit different if no one was coming in the shop and we were terrible at what we did, then you can swallow that. You can be like, do you know what? Actually, I tried something, it didn't work. We didn't have the demand, we didn't have the customers, but we did. So at the time, I didn't really realise, but over the last few years, I've sort of understood that, that obviously sort of upset me quite a lot inside, because I grafted so hard. I tried to, the guys look after everyone, pay them as well as I could. I was never making thousands and thousands of pounds. And paying someone peanuts. I always said to them, if you make me £1 million, you will feel the knock-on effect of that. You will benefit as well. So, it's just a bit gutting, and I sort of fell out of love with the industry at that point. So, hence where the I Build and Renovations come from. I also learned from my business being my name, Luke Johnson Flooring, that when it comes to closing down, I couldn't even sell on the database. Luke Johnson Flooring is nothing without Luke Johnson.
Right. Yeah.
Dave down the pub can't be Luke Johnson Flooring.
No.
So, I did look into obviously trying to just salvage something, get 10, 15,000 pounds for the database and the brands, but I couldn't, because it was me. So, when starting another business, obviously I was very reluctant to obviously use my name again. I wanted it to be a
company,
a company name. So, you build a good enough brand, you can sell it on. Tom
absolutely.
can be it, John can be it. It doesn't matter. So, so I come up with I Build and Renovations, and my aim was obviously to take on bigger work. Still always doing the flooring work. But just with extra stuff now. So and that's overall I Build the last 3 years has actually been very good for a few reasons. That it's been obviously I've been in control of it all. So I've not been relying on other people.
No,
because I've been going to work every day, and that's been much better, being back in that position. Again, a lot more personal for my customers. I am lucky that I've still kept the same customer base. So I tend to sort of do mid to high end work from my shop, and I'm lucky that I've still kept my same customer base. I've still got a lot on my accounts, so I can still offer all the same thing that I did before, but I'm just out of the van now, and obviously can't do as many jobs. But that with the renovation side, I've been doing obviously building projects as well. So from extensions to remodeling. But as you probably know, the building trade at the moment is it's a hard place to make money. Let me tell you that. materials, well, even in flooring, as we know, everything is so hard to make money. And as I started growing with the renovation side of things, I very quickly found myself going back down this same road again, where I'd employed a couple of guys, getting subcontractors working on the jobs, and I very quickly found myself falling into a bit of Luke Johnson flooring again, where getting this work, but guys are letting me down, other subcontractors. And the money soon gets out away. So it's like a lot of effort and for not a lot of reward. So I sort of again 6 months ago, I got rid of the employees and literally for the first time ever stripped it back to just being me. Like, since I was a 18-year-old lad and I took on my first apprentice or my labourer, I'm 35 now. Only recently has it ever been that I wake up in the morning now and all I have to think about paying is my daily wage. I mean, there's always been another wage, or someone else's mortgage or rent to pay every single week up until I had the business. And like I said, it was multiple people's wages. And that's been a huge weight off my shoulder. Which
you've got more money in your pocket as well.
Well, I know. We obviously briefly spoke earlier about when you had more guys, but it's strange. I've got all the knowledge. I've got all my lessons now. I've learned the hard way, unfortunately, with a lot of things in life. I've made the mistakes. I've learned the hard way, but now going back to just literally being me. Of course, I still work with my cousin who's an installer. He's his own man. We still team up. I've got other good friends that I team up and work alongside, but I don't have to pay anyone else's wage or mortgage anymore apart from my own. Which is nice. That's a good feeling. So
why Floor Ninja? Where's that came from?
Sorry, bit of background there, maybe a bit too much, but
no, love the story. Absolutely, like 90% of the stuff you said, slightly different environment, slightly different location, but all of those pains that you've identified there, I've lived, breathed. I've been the person like with my hand over my face, thinking, why did you not fit that door bar? Why did you leave the job at 5 to 4 when you could have just stayed till 4:15? Everyone thinking you're making millions, and you some months cash flow you're struggling to meet payday. Some months you think you're a millionaire, but you're actually not. All of those things, man in a van, bigger shop than another one. The whole thing is like you may as well have read out my CV.
Definitely. But if in the industry, I know many other people that are in the situation now. With shops and talk to them on social media, in person, and I'm sure people listening to this will be able to relate to this easily, especially small business owners. The family-owned shops and the smaller setups, where when you've got every person in your business is a key cog. Companies that have got 50 to 100 people, that everyone's overlapping. If someone doesn't come in that day, you sort of don't really miss them. But when we're like small businesses like ourselves, when that one cog's not there, the chain stops moving, doesn't it? It's just So it's I'm sure there's a lot that can relate to that. But in answer to your question, Floor Ninja is actually quite a newish thing over the last few months. It's actually started from TikTok. When TikTok first came out, you see it everywhere, and like we all do, we download these apps, see what it's all about. I think it must have been the lockdown pandemic when it went crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
And I downloaded it, and I was like, what the, I couldn't get my head around it. I'm quite tech savvy, but I was like, what the bloody hell? I couldn't work it out, and it wasn't of real interest to me at that time. So that got shelved, and then I sort of it's kept growing and growing and growing, as we know. And then earlier this year, I sort of, let's take a look at that again, because it's social media, know how important social media is for businesses
Yeah.
Today, that went back on there, and yeah, first I had my little I build renovations page, and sort of again wasn't too up with making these videos and how you do it, so left it. And then again, I've gone on and I created a new account for just purely for flooring. So like, flooring, you've been in flooring 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, this is my first craft, my main skill set. So I do on there, I love helping people and putting stuff out there to help others make money or do a better job, whatever it is. And obviously, when I went on there, I just come up with the handle, Floor Ninja. That was my TikTok handle. So that's where it's come from. And at first, obviously, I just put my account out there, putting tips and tricks and flooring and renovation related.
Can we just pause 1 second? I need to plug the laptop in. Just give me one second. 1 second. Don't know why it's going flat. Oh. Someone has managed to unplug my laptop.
No worries.
Right, Jesus. Would have lost all that then. Right. Carry on.
Yeah, so Floor Ninja has basically come from being my handle on TikTok, my name, my username.
Yeah.
Which I created. I can't really remember how I thought of it. I just was sitting there thinking of what's a cool name.
Yeah.
And yeah, that come up there. So over the last few months, I've put a bit with social media. 1 minute I'm sort of fully on it, then the next minute I might not post anything for a few weeks because my life's not governed by social media.
No.
But sometimes we're at work, you're just working away, and the job's not really the right. You can't really get some good footage or whatever. So yeah, I'm a bit sporadic with that. But videos I put out there, some have had good views, and I get a lot of people sort of messaging me, whether it be Instagram or whatever, asking for tips, advice, and so on.
How many followers have you got now on TikTok?
Only 7,000, so it's not not a lot. But I say I'm so
good quantity.
Yeah, no, it's still good. My Instagram's only 3,000, just under. But again, I'm very sporadic with it. TikTok's my main platform at the minute if I'm going to post anything.
Yeah.
So that will change going forward. But yeah, but from there, the Floor Ninja brand, it's quite a cool brand. I think it's a bit different.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where the Floor Ninja's come from. Being away the last 2 weeks, I've sort of been on holiday and had a lot of time to think, and I've I am going to progress with the Floor Ninja brand.
Yeah.
Because I think that basically I've done flooring for 20 years. The renovation side I love, but for me as a businessman, flooring is what I can make money with, basically.
Yeah. So how does 2023 look in your view? What have you got planned for next year? What's on the goals list?
Yeah, so obviously with that in a minute, in the background, I'm just working on, I've put a bit of a plan together and the Floor Ninja will go forward. So currently my business is I Build Renovations Limited. I will be changing the name on Company's House. So the same company, but we'll just be changing name to Floor Ninja. And I'll be running with that. I feel like I sort of fell back in love with the trade now, which the whole Luke Johnson flooring experience I definitely fell out of love with it.
Yeah.
And I know what with me with the flooring, I love helping others. I've done a brief 4 months in training last year, helping out, and really enjoyed that. Yeah. So, again, multiple people message me, text, on all the platforms, asking for tips, and I love helping. So I'll focus back to the flooring. The Floor Ninja will, I'll be doing the same thing as what I do now with my local customers, supplying installation of all types of flooring.
Yeah.
Thinking about setting up obviously a little mini appointment only showroom for that, because that really does help, having a little showroom. At the minute, I have to rely on taking sample books or swatches. So I'm going to do that on that side. And there will be another aspect of Floor Ninja, which will be the academy. So this is not public yet. Anyone listening to this, and by the time this goes out, it might be a bit more public, but I am going to look to do some sort of training. I'm not going to be setting up like my own training center and doing that, because it's not something I want to do full time. I don't want all my eggs in one basket, but I am going to be offering some training courses at various locations for people, because I have a lot of young lads that message me saying, like, can you do training or whatever? And I met some lads when I did do the training briefly at Carndy. And I enjoyed it, Tom. I really did. I maybe had Paddy on the other week, and Paddy's a great guy, and he's smashing it. And I'm very similar to Paddy. I genuinely want to help others and do a better job. And I'm not a bad installer. So I have got things to offer, and so it's 2023 is looking exciting. I'm excited. I'm back in love with the trade, and want to watch out. The Floor Ninja is going to grow.
That's lovely. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into a bit of a quick fire. Thank you so much for sharing that story. Best story there, because it just so many things clicked. I could have every element. Brilliant that. But as we always do, we're going to have a bit of a fun quick fire round, just for my entertainment and yours and the listeners. So if you won 10 million quid tonight on the lottery, what would be the first 5 things you would buy?
First 5 things. Obviously a very big house somewhere with a massive workshop, because I like doing multiple things and tinkering around with stuff. So a very big house. Obviously a car. You can ask me which one. I don't really know what car. Maybe a GT4 RS. Porsche, but maybe a couple of cars actually. Not gonna lie. I do like nice things, but ultimately, if I had a lot of money, I would be investing it in some sort of way of helping people. It would be helping others. Of some sort of business setup. I don't know exactly what bit. If I had enough money that I could just spend time helping other people, whether it be installers on site, develop, or businesses. So although I don't have a multi-million-pound successful flooring business, I have learned a lot of things that now I tell other people, and it stops them going down that same road. So I can help people. That's from this. I'll probably just enjoy being comfortable money-wise, and just help as many people as I could.
And in your big, massive house that you bought, what flooring would you buy? What would be your dream floor? Upstairs, downstairs?
Well, currently at home I'm sat here, and I've got project floors, herringbone, French oak hall downstairs, and Coolmar carpet all the way through upstairs. So I'm pretty happy with that. To be honest, it probably maybe the same,
Class. And the old chestnut, Five Guys or Domino's, and why?
Definitely Five Guys, because although it's a rip-off of burger and chips, Domino's, I don't know what they put on it, but the next day you know about it. So I'll just Domino's pizzas. Nah, I don't like them.
I was thinking about this because Peter from KHR also said about Domino's that I think they might put something in them to make you eat more or not, because he was like, you have to finish the whole pizza. And I'm thinking, I thought that was just me. I thought I'm just a greedy person. And I'm sure there's some flavouring that's like gets your taste buds going, I've got to finish this. And then once you buy more at the same price, might be just the greedy ones of us, but you don't know. But
yeah, no, definitely, I can agree with that. So
class. And then the last question is mash, roasties, or chips?
Roast.
Oh.
Roast dinner is my favourite dinner. So roast potatoes, 100%.
Brilliant. That's class, Luke. Right, where can everyone find Floor Ninja if anyone wants to follow you?
So yeah, obviously you can find me on TikTok, which is Floor Ninja. My Instagram and Facebook. Currently, obviously transitioning over. Finding it hard to change the name completely on Facebook at the minute. So a lot of it's Floor Ninja / I Build Innovations.
Yeah.
Purely because of the fact, obviously, I am in a transition period, and just sort of trying to get awareness out there. People are seeing the transition. So you'll see some of my logos have the Floor Ninja and I Build at the minute.
Yeah.
So yeah, Facebook, Instagram, a website will be coming, but that's not yet. But yeah, social media basically. Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Class. Brilliant, Luke. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your story. Been absolutely brilliant.
No worries. It's been an absolute pleasure, Tom. Thanks a lot.